Hello and welcome to ET Garage. Today I installed this blue box, so let's get on with it, so to speak. Okay, today I'm going to install this Intellatronix CDI box, multiple spark discharge. This is their marine grade version. It's supposed to have better shock and waterproof, better shock resistance and waterproof resistance. So I spent a little bit more money. It wasn't that much more money for the marine grade one, so I'm glad I spent the money on it because, and I'll show you that here in a little bit. This will be going on my 90 Corvette. For anyone who's new to the channel, I'll probably leave links at the end of the video, but this car here now has over 239,000 miles on it. And it's not stock. The motor is still a tune port, but it's been bored and stroked, 383, headers, the usual stuff, header, cams, roller rockers, large tube intake, and a bunch of other stuff. And it's not a super high performance 383. It's just a mild 383. And this car is with old season radials and me launching it really carefully because of a Dana 36 that's in the rear. We'll do anywhere from mid 13s to high 12s. I could probably do a lot better with stickier tires and lower sea elevation, closer to sea elevation. But I don't really track the car. Every couple of years I'll do a test and tune with it just for the fun of it. But anyway, I'm going to install this box. I don't really need it. I always wanted to install one of these on a car. I never had installed one of the capacitive discharge ignition with multiple sparks. I never done that. And these are intended for cars that are really high compression, where it's a lot harder to ignite the spark under high pressure, like boosted applications and high compression. This runs about 10.5 to 1 compression, so it ain't too bad. But the biggest thing I want to install this for is I want to see if it improves fuel mileage, believe it or not, as well as performance. This engine actually runs pretty good. I do my own tuning on it. I got a bunch of videos on that, but that's another subject. Anyway, I got the marine version because, unlike most Corvette drivers, I will drive this car in all sorts of weather. I'll take it out in the rain, I'll take it on long trips, I'll take it out in the winter, and water does get under this hood. And I'm going to show you a couple of choices I have for mounting this sucker. I'm not going to go into super detail about the wiring and so forth, and I'm just going to go over some basics. And the reason I'm not going to go into detail because depending on your application, it will get wired differently. For instance, if this was the older mechanical HEI, high energy distributor, GM distributor with the 4-prong module, you would actually take that module out, chuck it, and just hook this directly to the pickup wire. However, this is computer controlled, has a 7-pin module, and it gets hooked up totally different. The same would be, it'd also be totally different for a Ford or a Chrysler or an aftermarket ignition, etc., etc. So that's why I'm not going to go into too much detail with the wiring. There's a little bit confusion on this because of the 7-pin, the way it's done, but it's not too difficult to figure out. For now, I'm going to move the camera and jump right into what I'm going to do. So hold on a second, and I'll move the camera. Okay, here we are, looking under the hood of my C4 Corvette. And as you can see, it's really not too much room for this box. I've seen other boxes. I seen one car at a car show not too long ago. They had the box mounted on a bracket right there. My main concern is keeping this away from engine heat, because heat is what will destroy boxes. Most people mount them to the firewall. On older cars, you have a lot of room on the firewall to mount them. On this Corvette, as you can see, there is nowhere. Nowhere. Even on the other side, there's nowhere. I mean, I could stick it over there maybe somehow, and then run the wires over here. And then it's still going to be close to the headers. I don't want them anywhere near the exhaust heat. You can forget, let me see if I can get some better lighting here. Down in there, I mean, I could somehow mount it on that frame rail down there, but then it's going to be between the radiator and the motor, more heat. And in other installations, I've seen them stick them down in there. And it has to go down far enough to clear this headlight when it rotates, which shouldn't be a problem. And I believe that's where I'm going to do it. It's going to go down in there and get mounted down there. I could mount it like to here somewhere, this bracket maybe, but then this headlight, when it rotates, it's going to hit it. So that's not going to happen. Let's see. It's pretty much my options, unless I want it to go inside the fender well and hope the tire doesn't hit it or something. Yeah, that'd be stupid. I also thought about stuffing it back in there, that deep dark hole there, and that's going to be a pain in the butt too. There are some other options. Maybe down in here between the battery, take the side panel out and mount it there. That's not a bad option either. It would still be a tight fit though. Yeah, it's going to be a tight fit. Another option, of course, is to go through run the wires through the firewall and mount it up under the dash somewhere. On a car like this 90 Corvette, there's not much room underneath that dash, trust me. And it's a lot of wires. And another thing I'm worried about is EMI, or electromagnetic interference. So I'd rather have this far away from the ECM, even though the wires are going to be running by it, and then to the distributor. But that's what I'm going to have to do. I believe is best thing is to go up front there, and water does get in that area, by the way. That's one of the reasons I went with the marine grade ones. So the bad thing is I will have to take the extension harnesses that come with this and extend them, because they will not be long enough. And the longer the wires, the more resistance you also run in the wires too. So that's also a consideration. So let me think. Should I go down there? Or I could go and remove this. This is for my heated wideband, by the way. So it only switches on when the motor's running. I could relocate that and shove it in there. That's going to tight fit, but it will work. And I shouldn't have to extend the wires. I don't know. Let me think about this for a minute, and I'll consider that. One thing, if I mount it to this plastic fender liner, I probably don't need to use the insulation bushings. That's another thing to consider. When I use the insulation bushings, it's going to push it out this way, which is going to hit this bracket. And might have to do like that one guy did, where he mounted it like that. I'm not sure. I'll have to fab up a bracket if I do. May not be a bad idea. I don't know. But then you have all the heat coming from here, and it comes out here and vents out through there. I don't know. I think I'm going to go with my original plan to stick it right up there. That's something you got to consider, is the heat and vibrations and all that good stuff. And of course the wire length. That's what I'm going to get into right now. I'm going to go ahead and mount it. I'm not going to go super detail, like I said, about the wiring and all that stuff. I'm going to get that all done and then get back to you guys. So hold tight. Okay, as you can see, it's installed. I got the isolator mounts under there, and I was able to drill directly through here. That's actually a fiberglass panel under there, and mount them there. And then in the back, I had to come from underneath, jack the car up, come from underneath. I could only get that one on this side. That one there is sort of like overlaps. I could put like a little bracket there and clamp style that way, but it's solid mounted enough that I'm happy with it. I got the wire loom, the wires in this wire loom, plastic wire loom. I'm going to do more though. Want to do more of that down there. And comes around and over here. And let me get some better light. And of course it comes up here over the windshield washer motor and right there. And I had an extra HEI plug adapter that I was able to cut and splice and solder and heat wrap to work with my setup. Now, one thing that confused me is if you look here at the directions for the 5 and 7 pin manual pin module, they show 2-tack gray wire, but you actually do not use that, not with the 7 pin anyway. You just tape that off or whatever you want to do, and it actually gets the tack signal directly from the CD box, so CDI box, whatever you want, a multi-spark discharge, and it works. I tested it. The tack works fine and everything, so I'm not having any problems there. If you look over here at the battery, I got these battery lug extenders, and I mounted the heavier red and black power wires directly to the battery. That's what it says to do. It says to do it that way or through a terminal. That's the way I went, and I didn't have the thicker gauge red wire that I needed, so I ended up just doubling up 2 wires. And at a later day, I'll probably change that, but it seems to be working fine. And I'm happy with it. And I'll say this, when I first fired this up, it idled horrible with the CDI box hooked up. And capacitive discharge box hooked up. So what I did was I ended up opening the gap of the spark plugs, 10,000, so I went from 35 to 45, and that improved it. And it actually idled really good after that. So as far as performance and fuel mileage and all that stuff, I'm not really seeing a big gain in performance. So it's really hard to say, and I've got a couple hours drive time on it. And I'm really going to have to run through a couple of tanks of gas to gauge it. But performance-wise, I don't think it was that big of a deal. Fuel mileage, I'm guessing it seems like it might be a little bit better, but I won't know, like I said, until I run a couple of tanks of gas through it. So it does work. Maybe I'll start this up later, disconnect one of the spark plug wires and ground a spark plug to it and record the flash or something. I don't know. But anyway, it's all installed. It's running. Time will tell how well it works out. If you ask me if it's worth a couple of $100 for the price on a fuel injected, electronically controlled fuel injected motor, no. The fuel and timing is better controlled by a computer, that you have better fuel burn, so it doesn't have as much a big effect. Plus there's all the additional wiring that you already on top of the original factory wiring, and there's always possible problems with electromagnetic interference and stuff like that. I think on a carburetor motor with a carburetor and a big cam and stuff like that, or you're running a lot of boost where you have a lot of pressure, cylinder pressure, it's probably an advantage to have one of those. On something like this, I don't think I'd recommend it. I'd spend your money somewhere else. I mean, if it gets me a little bit better fuel mileage, that'll be great. And today's fuel mileage, it might actually pay for itself. I'd have to sit there with a calculator and figure it out, how many miles I'd have to drive and how much fuel savings, if there is any. It, you know, coming home from a car show last night, I cruising down the highway. It seemed like it got a little bit better fuel miles, but it's hard to tell. And then there's always the question of dependability. I have this wired up that I can just unplug it at the HEI distributor and plug the factory harness right back in. And if it ever dies on me, and I'll be on my way in just 10 minutes if it breaks down on the side of the road somewhere. So that's, if you can do it like that, wire it like that, depending on your application, that's a plus. This, like I said, this box just does have a lifetime warranty, so I'm expecting it to be dependable. I did measure the temperature under the hood when I came home from the car show where it's located. It was like 85 outside, and it was like 90. That measured 95 degrees, so it was only 10 degrees above ambient temperature where it's located. If I had it underneath the engine bay, it'd probably be up to about 130 degrees or something like that. So location's important. That'll affect the, you know, the dependability of it, in my opinion. And I guess I'm going to end the video here. I want everybody to have a great day. God bless.